Well, hello and welcome back, everybody, to another Empowerment Week. It is the first empowerment session of 2026. This is exciting. The first one is always my favorite because it really sets the tone for the rest of the year. So we always try to find stuff that's fun and energetic and something that's going to really just help you dive right into your goals and whatever you're working on for yourself. This week, we're going to have a lot of fun stuff planned. We're going to work on how to set yourself up for success throughout the year. We're going to talk about parenting and motherhood, fatherhood, that kind of stuff. We will also be discussing some boundaries on Wednesday. So if you have some issues with boundaries or saying no to people, that's me. Join us on Wednesday. Thursday, I'll be doing a session on community, how to get involved with your community, different ways to kind of volunteer or stuff like that. And then Friday, we're going to end it off with some movement. We always try to have movement every week. And so Friday, we're going to do some seated Zumba with our past co-hosts. So a great week ahead. Without further ado, I just want to thank all of you guys for taking the time out of your Monday to show up for not only just Wheel with me, but for yourselves as well. You can always guarantee that you're going to get some really good life lessons and little nuggets here during Empowerment Week. And then I also want to thank our speaker tonight. And so tonight we're going to have Shameka Andrews sharing some stuff about how she sets herself up for success during the week, during the day, and kind of during the month and the whole year as a whole. Shamika has done multiple different empowerment sessions for us. We've talked about vision boards, we've talked about intentions. She is really one of my favorite speakers that talks about energetic and really kind of getting that mindset stuff tuned in and dialed in for the rest of the year. So thank you so much for Shamika for sharing your amazing expertise over the years, and we're really excited to have you back.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here once again. I always love doing these sessions. So just to tell you a little bit about me, I know a lot of you, but just a little introduction about myself. I'm Shameka Andrews. I am a community outreach coordinator for the Self-Advocacy Association of New York State. I do outreach just letting people know about advocating for themselves, what their rights are, things like that. I always say that that's my job I get paid for. I do a lot of other things that I don't necessarily get paid for, but I am also the state coordinator of the Miss Wheelchair New York program. I know Jamie is our Pennsylvania title holder, so hello to Jamie. Um, and I was Miss Wheelchair New York 2006. So I have been involved with Miss Wheelchair America for 20 years. It's crazy to say that out loud. Um, but besides that, I have my own consulting company where I provide workshops like this in the areas of self-care, self-advocacy, and disability awareness. So today I'm going to talk to you about various tools and things that I use to set myself up for success. I always say these are things that I use. They don't necessarily, it's not a given that they're going to work for everyone. I always say, and when you're listening to any speaker, whether it's myself or anybody, take what works for you and leave the rest. So that's my advice for you, for anybody you're listening to, not just me. You have to figure out, and that brings me to the word success, right? Success means different things to different people at any different time. I say for me, when I'm looking at my day, sometimes success means the fact that I got all my things done. And sometimes success means that I put a pair of pants on and found matching socks. So it doesn't have to be a big thing, all right? Sometimes those successes are little. What it looks like to you can be completely different, right? So as far as the day, I always say success, setting myself up success in the day always starts in the evening. So what I choose to do in the evening before I start my day affects how my next day is going to go. So in the evening, these are the things that I like to do. Number one, if you follow me on Facebook, you are aware that I do what I call my five favorites, or sometimes I call it the favorites of the day. I change my mind about what I want to call them. But anyway, what that is, if you don't follow me on Facebook, or if you don't pay attention to that or whatever, is I look at what are five things according to my five senses, because we have five senses: smell, taste, you know it there. And so I look at my day and think of five things at least. Sometimes my list is shorter, sometimes it's longer, depending on the day. Um, of five things um, that brought me joy in that day, or that made me happy or whatever. And you don't have to share these on Facebook. Some people have reached out to me that they've adopted this habit of putting it on Facebook. You don't necessarily have to do that. Um, you can just write it in your journal. If you have a journal. Now, speaking of journals, if you're like me, you have a million journals because I just love journals. Um, Another thing that I like to do with my journals is not only do the five things, but I also have what I call my release journal. What are the things that I want to release? So my release practice, another reason why I want to have good habits at night is because I don't know about you, but I find I have a lot of anxiety at night. And I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things going on at night before I go to bed. So I have a journal next to my bed where before I get in bed and lay down, I say to myself, what are some things that I need to release from this day before I have to go to bed? So that can be anything. It can be the fact that you have to go grocery shopping or you didn't do 20 million things that you thought you were going to do, whatever. And I write those things down in the journal, uh, and I tear the pages up. And depending on where you live, some people like to burn these things. You may not be like me. Uh, you can't burn things. So you can just tear it up. And I like to throw it in the toilet, because you like to say, you know, where things go in the toilet that you do, and you flush it down and it's gone. Uh, so again, those can be anything from, somebody cut you off in traffic and that ticked you off, or, somebody gave you the bird, you got in an argument with somebody. Um, yes, Lindsay says that she's a journaler. And some different people feel different things about journaling. Um, some people will journal pages and pages of things. Sometimes I'll journal just a word, to get rid of it. It doesn't have to be, it can be a list of things. Sometimes, in my journal practice, it's like I have just say the sentence, I have nothing to write right now. So, whatever it is, for you, again, you know, you can use that tool or not. Some people hate journaling, and that's fine too. It's just these are all just tools. None of them are things that you have to do. I'm not saying that I have, all the answers. I'm just sharing with you what worked, what has worked for me. Um, so the release practice, like I said, for me, and keeping the journal next to my bed at night to be able to get the thoughts out of here, and onto the paper, has been a very important tool for me. Another thing that has been very important for me as far as my night routine is my water, because I've said to myself that this is a goal that I want to focus on, is getting more water and being intentional about my water intake. So I make sure that before I go to bed, that my water bottle is filled up. So, and it's next to my bed, fill it up before I go to bed. And it's right there in the morning when I get up. So I have my first cup of water before I get out of bed, before I do anything else. The water bottle is right there because I filled it up the day before. So that's another thing that I do to set myself up success with that goal of getting more water in, making sure that the water is filled up before I go to bed. So those are, you know, some tools that I use in the evening. So during the day, in the morning, I another tool that's important to me to set myself up for success is music. Music is a great part of my life. So what I do is one of the workouts that I like to do because movement. The other tool that I use a lot is affirmations. So different people feel differently about affirmations. I learned about affirmations from a woman named Louise Hay. Um, and she says what she says. A lot of people say that affirmations don't work for me, or I've never used affirmations. But she said, if you ever said the words, I'm stupid, you've said an affirmation because that's an affirmation. So you can also change that to say the opposite of that, right? And it's all energy. Bree mentioned, I'm all about focusing on my energy and how I, and the energy that I bring around me. Uh, so quotes and words and music are tools that I use around me. Another quote that I use, it's in my workspace and in my personal space, is a sign and is a quote by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. And it says, please be responsible for the energy that you bring into this space. So that is a reminder to me to be intentional about the energy that I'm allowing into my space and the energy that I am giving. Because these are two things that um, I have let go in the past. I would allow people to come into my space and, like I would say, treat me like a dump truck. So they would bring all their stuff into my space and complain about, all the people that pissed them off or, whatever they had to unload. And then I would be thinking about their stuff and they would move on. And I'm still thinking about it 2 weeks from now. And it had nothing to do with me to begin with, but I'm still thinking about it because they laid it on my lap and they went about their business because they're now feeling good because they unloaded on me. Um, so really being intentional about what energy I'm giving and what energy I'm allowing into my space. The other th on uh, energy that I'm giving is really being intentional about what I say yes to. Because as probably all of us, we're involved with so many things and there's so many causes and so many things that we want to do. We're just saying yes to everything, right? And this affects our health. This affects so many things in our lives. So just really being intentional of looking at, it's because if I'm showing up with you with half my energy, or a quarter of my energy, that's not giving you my 100%. So just saying yes to you or your organization out of guilt, out of whatever obligation, that's not good for either of us. So that's just really looking at now I keep saying the word intentional. Another tool that I use to set up my year is I pick themes for the year. Some people use the word intentions. Some people say, resolutions, whatever. But I learned this from one of the coaches that I follow, and she picks themes of the year. And and then I build goals around whatever I say my theme was. So my theme last year was intentional. That was my theme for the year, looking at all of my life areas of how I can be more intentional about my work projects, more intentional about my home life, my health, um, all of those things. So that was my word for last year. And then my word for this year is grace. So giving myself grace, giving other people grace, what are the areas that I need to um, really give grace and receive grace? Um, with that, when I pick a theme, because I'm a very visual uh, person, uh, is I create a graphic. Um, I will create a graphic which I will put on my phone and or on my social media pages. And also sometimes I'll print it out and put it on my fridge or my mirror as a reminder that this is what I said I want my year to be is, giving grace, receiving grace. Um, so that is, something that I do for myself. Now, the other thing that I love to do is do vision boards. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of things. Um, oh, where is my, okay. All right, here we go. Just a couple of slides that I put together to show you some things. So this is for January. So another thing that I follow a lot of coaches on Facebook, and one of the coaches that I follow, which when it comes to monthly goals, is he says to pick 3 personal goals and 3 professional goals. So this is my one for January, and I'll read it out just in case anybody has trouble seeing it. Um, it says personal, to set alarms in my phone to remind me to take breaks and drink water. That's the other thing about increasing my water. I have uh, alarms in my phone that go off throughout the day that say drink water. Um, Also, the second one, set meditation alarm before bed. So this was all about being intentional before what I'm doing before I go to bed, right? I'm not, checking emails. I'm not that I want to meditate. So I set my alarm and I turn it on before I go to bed. And also about how I'm eating and what I'm putting into my body. So this one says wrap up eating 3 hours before bedtime. So no, that is, so I'm not eating, 30 minutes before I go to bed. So professional ones, send out more coloring books. One of the things that I did this past year is create coloring books to go with my children's book. So getting that out in more places, um, things like that. And as I told you, I am uh, coordinator for Miss Wheelchair, so really putting things out there for Miss Wheelchair. So with that, this is how I set up, what I want my month to look like. But after the the month is over, I will look in my camera of things that I did, also ways to document what I've done throughout the month. And I'll put together a board, a celebration board of things that I've done throughout the month that I can go back and remember, oh, this was connected to this. And I did a lot of dancing. This was for September of last year. Went to some conferences. I spoke at a couple of conferences. These, and then these flowers were outside. One of the things that happened last year is I got a new wheelchair. And the place that I go get my wheelchair fixed and stuff, they have these really pretty flowers. So I put that on my vision board. I also do vision boards for the year and looking at themes and words for the year. This was 2020, interestingly enough. And this was before I put this together before the shutdown. So these words definitely mean different things after the shutdown. But this is what I said I wanted my 2020 to look like and the things that I wanted to focus on uh, in 2020. Uh, and then finally, what I do at the end of the year is I take all of those boards that I did for the month and I put them together for the end of the year. So I can celebrate and go back again, looking at all of the things that I accomplished, all of the fun things that I did, things like that. So that is, I'm willing to stay. I know we're supposed to wrap up around 6:30, but I can stick around for anybody that I got into this and sometimes I just talk and talk and talk. Willing to stay if people have questions
Yeah,
or
we have
anything.
plenty of time. So, we actually have this going until blocked off for another like 15 minutes. So if you're free until quarter two, and if anyone has time, if we don't fill that whole time, obviously that's okay too. But
Yeah,
um
I have other things that I can say, but I want to, hear from you guys and whatever. I think Linda, you had your hand up. Yeah.
yes.
Yes, you had spoke about a graphic that you made
Hmm.
when you're talking about your themes. Do you have an example of that you could show or
Yes.
at least explain what that looks like?
Yes. Let me pull up. Um, let's see. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let me cover. Okay, this. Where'd you go? Okay. So I shared, can you guys see that?
Hmm.
Okay. So I shared my theme for this year is living and loving with grace. So I what I do as far as when I pick a theme, I say, okay, well, what does that look like? What would that look like in the different areas of my life? So I came up with these little phrases, giving space for imperfection, communicating to myself and others gently, um, creating space for stillness. Meditation is very important to me. Um, letting go of what I can't control, uh, encouragement, encouragement over criticism, exploring creativity without pressure, stretching myself, not overwhelming myself. So this is what the 2026 graphic looks like. Um, did that change for you guys? What are you
Yeah,
looking
it
at?
changed. We can see your quotes and
Okay.
multiple
Yeah.
ones.
Okay, good. Because I sometimes it makes me stop. So I said intentional, right? So this was my graphic for last year where it's a tree, right? And in the tree trunk, it says the word intentional, and then it has different areas in my life where I want to be intentional. So those are um, just some examples of a couple. And this was my 2025 graphic. And I make these in Canva, by the way. Um, for those. These are some other examples. And like I said, I put these on all my social media. Um, this is another example. I'm in charge of my vibe. That was a theme one year when I was really thinking about, how I allow people to interpret how I'm feeling. Um, so that's here's some other yearly kind of celebration boards. Um, yeah, and I make all of these in Canva. Oh, so does that answer your question, Linda?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments or anything?
I know that a couple individuals, like
I
myself
know
and
people were, yeah, I
Autumn.
know people were writing in the chat and I wasn't necessarily looking at the
Nope,
chat. So
that's okay. We had a
yeah.
couple people had kind of shared their words too. Like you had mentioned, your word for the year was grace. And I know that Autumn wrote her word as pause. And then I wrote down my word for the year is intentional. So I was actually just going to see if anyone else, just even if they haven't said it before today, or even just kind of through this exercise, if they were to kind of set a word for the year, what that would look like for you guys and what kind of intention would that be? Um, if you're willing to share, you can either unmute, drop it in the chat, or if there's any of the other practices that Shameka had mentioned that you utilize already, feel free to share about that too. I know I dropped in the chat that I've been big on vision boarding for a very long time as well. I actually keep mine as the background of my phone so that I always look at it every day. I mean, you look at your phone, I think 100 something times a day. So every time I'm glancing to see what time it is, it pops up. And I've been doing that, I think, for like 4 years now, is setting it as my phone. Um,
Yeah, the other thing that I didn't share with you that I like to do through my day is to think about what I learned for myself in that day. And I call it like the nuggets of the day. And sometimes I share these. Um, I'll show you. And I make a graphic. Can you guys see this? Um, so I make these little graphics. That's not one. I clicked the wrong one. Um, so this one, it says, uh, this one is really important. I can fly even though others are falling. That's just about, again, my energy, I can be in celebration energy and, even if other people around me are not. So another one, this one says, I can have a good day even if things don't go as planned. So I make these little graphics as just reminders to myself. A lot of times people think that I'm posting according to, somebody else or whatever, but I'm like, I'm sharing because it helps me. Whether it helps you or not is, great, whatever. So, um, but anyone else want to share their word or share maybe some other tools that you use? So I'm always learning. Like I said, I am in no way got all of this all figured out perfectly in any way. I'm always learning from people and new tools that I want to adopt or whatever. Um, so if anybody wants to share anything that they use that we didn't talk about, um, you guys have some good words. Epic. That's an awesome word.
I agree. I agree. Epic is a really good word. And then Linda said that intentional would be a good word for you as well. And you know what? You're allowed to take it. Take it. It's a gift.
Yes, you can use, I mean, if you haven't thought about, words for
Absolutely.
the year or
Hmm.
any of this before and something
Hmm.
pops out at you that you think, oh, okay, yes, that should be my theme. That should be my
Hmm.
word. I
Hmm.
need to be more intentional. I need to, you know, uh, you know, and sometimes, with me, not only do I pick words for the year, sometimes I pick them for the month.
Yeah.
Um, like for me in December, my word was magnetic.
Hmm.
Um, so it was like always that was about focusing on what I want to bring to me, what I want to bring in. So sometimes I'll have themes, for the month as well, uh, as the year. And sometimes, I'll start out a year in a theme and look at it like, oh, okay, I think I'm done with that. And it becomes something else. That's just like if you use vision boards, maybe halfway through the year, you say, oh, okay. I put that on my vision board, in the beginning of the year. Maybe I, did it. Maybe it came through, and maybe I decided that no, that's not really that much important. And you update. That's why I like doing them in Canva because then I can swap out the pictures, I can change it, I can update it, whatever. It doesn't mean that you have to stick with the way it was in January. Maybe in June, you decide to look at it. And the other thing about vision boards, I say make it fun, make it a party,
Hmm.
and put on some music. Uh, I mentioned music, and I started to say this, and I don't think I finished it. Is one of the things as far as movement, right? And moving my body. A lot of the, resolutions. One of the most common resolutions is I'm going to exercise, blah, 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 however many days, right? And most people don't do that. And most people give up on that, 7 days in. So what I say, because I do want to move my body and I know that it's important, is I say I move my body in a way that I love every day.
Hmm.
Not I'm going to exercise every day. That can look like me turning on Bon Jovi really loud in my living room, or that can look like me going to the gym or going to a class or going, Wheel with Me has a great app if you don't know about it. That's a good, that has a lot of great workouts for people in chairs and so if you don't know about the Wheel with Me app, I'm not getting paid to say any of this, so I'm just put that out there. Uh, I'm just telling you again another tool that I use. Um,
Do you still do
so
your morning dance to kind of get the vibe up? I know when she was
yes,
presented
the other thing,
before,
yes,
she has like an 8-minute playlist that she
yes,
uses to
so
get the
yeah, so
vibe
I do
going.
my what I call 6 song
Yep.
workout.
Yep.
So I, some days I'm in a Bon Jovi vibe, sometimes I'm in a gospel vibe. Whatever I'm feeling like that morning, I pick 6 songs in that vibe, whatever that is, and I dance. And you don't have to be a great dancer. It's not about being a great dancer. It's about having fun and moving your body.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so it's not, and if you live alone like me, nobody's here. It's just you and God. If I believe in God, whatever. It doesn't matter. Even if your dogs or your kids or whatever, they look at you like you're crazy. You can involve them too. If you got kids, if you got dogs, if you got whatever you got in your house, you can involve them too. Put on some music and just move. Yeah, so that's definitely, yes, part of my morning routine of just putting on the music and just moving.
I love that, and I'm totally incorporating that into my life. I've been struggling just like getting my workouts in, right? Like with these cold Wisconsin days, I'm like
Ex
bunkering in. All I want to do is like be in like heavy clothes and not move my body and shiver all day. And
exactly.
so
Yeah, I have a
I'm gonna pick
comforter.
3 to start, and right, I'm gonna
Mhm.
like go half that because I can commit to at least like say what less than 15 minutes if you pick 3 songs, right?
Right,
Like so I
exactly. You
love
can
that.
pick exactly. You don't have to pick 6. You want to start with 2. You
Yep.
want to start with 1. Whatever you want to do. it's, like I said, I usually can get through 6, and that's okay. And that's the other thing about another tool that I use is timers and things, because a lot of times when we're heading into something, we're saying, oh, okay, I'm gonna declutter and I have to declutter my entire house. That ain't happening. Okay. So when I'm looking at decluttering or anything like that, I set a timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's it. And usually I can do pretty much anything for 10 minutes, whether it's move my body, whether it's declutter a corner. I'm not one of these people that says, okay, I'm going to declutter my whole house in one day.
Mm.
That ain't happening. And if you want to do that, fine. If that works for you, cool. But again, like I said, I usually take a corner and then say, okay, I'm going to do this corner right now for 10 minutes. And that's it. Because that's the other thing of letting go, the importance of letting go. And we get in our heads about everything that we didn't accomplish, right? Whether it be in our day, whether it be in our year, and we don't focus on there's so many things that you did. You got up and put pants on. Since COVID, that's the ultimate goal. If I did that, I'm celebrating. Okay. I got up and put pants on. That's the celebration of the day. Okay. It doesn't have to be, catastrophic thing. We put all of these things and say, well, I got 20 things on my to-do list. And I'm like, no, none of you ain't gonna do half of that crap. So just be easy on yourself. Again, that's where that grace comes in, right?
Mhm.
We don't have to do 20 things. Whatever you're supposed to do in the day will get done. And if it doesn't, it's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
It's
Um,
gonna be okay. Yeah,
le
yes,
Last
Dawn.
fall, I went to New Motion. They had like a get together, a um little thing over at a hotel where they had different wheelchair vendors and other vendors for people. And it rained, but I still went. And that, and I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna have there, but I'm like, just get out of the house and see what's there. And I actually happened to run into Washington University because I'm in St. Louis, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have the study on wheelchair exercises, and would you be interested? I'm like, sure, I would be. And they're like, well, you could get a trainer, you could not get a trainer, and it's for 14 weeks. And I had 2 days of where they did tests and stuff, and then I got accepted, and I ended up getting a trainer, and they did just 2 weeks of ramp up, which is 2 days a week. And so now I'm getting ready to go to the third week, where it's 3 days a week, where I do um like can't think of how to explain it. I My doctor put me as one medicine. My friend who's a pharmacist explained is like, you have word fog right now with this medicine he put you on. But it's 14 weeks, and they're doing the accident intake for wheelchair users. They're like, they know what it is for people who don't use wheelchairs, how to figure out what you need for strength exercise and the calisthenics and stuff like that. But it's going to be for 14 weeks, and I've already done two. So I mean, if you ever see something like that out there where they have like an expo or something like that, if you think, well, I don't know what it's like, if you can just get there and just go around, you never know what kind of opportunity is going to fall into your lap, because they're paying me. I already got $100 gift card, and they're going to add $125 to it. Depending on how far you have to travel, you might get mileage. I got a trainer for free. They did this testing. I got all the results for the testing, like I said to my doctors. They're gonna test me again at the end. So you never know what you're gonna get that can help you with your
Absolutely.
thing. And that can help you with your day going forward too.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many different expos out there with different resources. Another thing while you were talking reminded me, I know Nikki Walsh is, who's part of Adapt, Will With Me Adapt Fit, is also offering classes through BORP. Um, um, and they have a bunch of different classes as well. Um, and there's also another organization called Gathering Strength, um, that has some online. And I'm currently taking a course from NICPAD, and they have a lot of other um, uh, classes as well. So those are some other exercise resources that you can do from your home. Um, you know, and yeah, so. Yeah, so those are some other organizations. And like I said, I know Nikki is offering classes now through BORP, so you can check that out as well. So
And I
any
think that
other,
Jesse is doing free workouts with another organization from the East Coast that will be shared on the foundation page, Don. So if you
Mhm.
follow Wheel With Me Foundation on either Facebook
Okay.
or Instagram, that'll be posted again. I think the next time Jesse will do that is in March.
Yeah. Because
But I'll
I
make
have the Wheel With
sure.
Me. I have
Okay,
the Wheel
cool.
With Me app. I do. I just can't use it until after my 14 weeks. I can't do any other exercise. But what I thought was really neat about this is I didn't have to pay for the testing they did for before and after. So for anybody who can't afford any kind of testing like that, I just kind of lucked into it. You never know what opportunities you're going to luck into if you go to one of the expos. It could be anything. It could be a contest for free wheelchair or anything. If you just go, if you're not doing anything that day, just get out of bed, just go and do something. I mean, when I left there, it was totally storming so much, but I just had to wait a half hour, or else would have floated away and not to my car. So
Mhm.
it's and in 14 weeks, I'll be able to join the gym through my insurance and also do Wheel With Me on the app at home.
yeah,
Awesome.
two things before we wrap up, because I just saw
Hmm.
Marty's question about getting rid of things.
Hmm.
Um, Marty, there is what I've learned about, I know where I live, two things. We have, I live in an apartment building, so there's lots of apartments near me. So what we do is we have like a swap table. We have a table that's in the lobby of our building, where we can put things. And if other neighbors have a use for them, they can take them from the table. There's also many neighborhoods. If you look up it's called a website called Buy Nothing. And lots of different communities have those. It's where you can advertise if you want to get rid of something or if you're looking for something. Say if you were looking for, I don't know, I was looking for like a back massager and I ended up getting one from there. Um, so those are some options. I mean, there's like thrift shops, where you can donate things that you want to get rid of. Um, just putting it out on Facebook. Saying I have, whatever it is that you have, and people near you can, so that's uh, one way that you can, get rid of some of the things that you might, um, be getting rid of and need to get, rid of. So I wanted to answer that question because I just seen that in the chat.
Does anyone have any last minute comments, questions, thank yous, or anything for Shameka before we wrap up tonight?
Yeah, and those of you, I think I'm connected to most of you on
Mhm.
Facebook. I do Facebook. I'm on uh, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those good things. If you want to, connect after this, there's also email, whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm on all those places. So
Absolutely. And I'll make sure to connect her, both of her social medias, the Facebook and the Instagram, to the video of tonight's session as well, to the email. So, well, if no one has anything else they want to say, I just want to say thank you so much, Shameka, for doing another session with us. As always, the information that you share is so impactful and just kind of revitalizes you and just kind of it's that energy exchange, right? That we've been talking about a lot today is it just kind of gets everyone into the right mindset for the rest of the year. And I love how she gives yourself to be permission to be flexible with the planning, right? If it doesn't fit later on in the year, take it out. If you want to add something new in later, add it in. Like that's the whole point of this. It can change just as fast as life does. So, I hope you guys found some valuable information today. If you guys go and create a vision board or pick your word for the year, please tag Wheel with Me Foundation or Shameka or both
Yes,
of us.
I love seeing people's vision
Yes,
boards or
me too.
and or words or your favorites if you choose to
hmm
do favorites of the day or whatever,
Awesome.
yeah, please share. I love seeing that from people.
Me too. Yes. Tag us, tag Shameka, tag your friends, tag Will with me. Share that good energy, share the wins. Um, because we want to see all the cool things that you guys are working on. So thank you guys so much for showing up today. And thank you, Shameka, for sharing your information. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have a long week ahead. Tomorrow will be Lindsay and Autumn talking about motherhood, parenthood, fatherhood, things like that. Wednesday, we're going to have Eric Kondo talking about boundary setting. So that's a really important one to sit in on. Thursday, I'll be doing a session on Community 101. So it's just about how to find the right community for you, how to get involved, and how that can look differently in whatever fashion that feels right for you in the start. And then we're going to end the week with seated Zumba. Tennille is going to come back for another amazing Zumba class. So if you're ready to move your body, you don't have to be an expert. You can be a beginner. All levels of fitness are welcome. So if you guys have not signed up for the rest of the week, I will make sure to add that link in to the recording that you guys will get here shortly. You guys have an amazing, amazing week and have a lovely night.
Care,
See you guys
everybody.
tomorrow.